In the last exercise, we saw how to use a list to store multi-part data. In this exercise, we're going to look at that grade data again, and this time use a dictionary to store the data. Using a dictionary is a much more natural way of storing this particular type of data because a name and a grade are related as a key value pair. So in other words, if I want to retrieve a grade, I will ask for the student's name, and that will give me the grade. So using a dictionary is a more efficient and more natural way to work with this data. So let's see how to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is open up the interactive shell. And this time we're going to use a dictionary, so we'll start off with an open curly brace. And we have a name as a string, followed by a colon, and then a grade, followed by another name, a colon, and a grade, and so on until we get through all the names. So I'll just go ahead and type those in. I'm putting my space after the grade, but spacing doesn't really matter there. The most important thing is to have the colon to separate the key from the value and to have a comma between each key value pair. And this will be our last grade. So we close with a closing curly brace. So now if I just type the dictionary name, that will return the data. And notice that the data returned is not in the same order as the data entered. That's an important aspect of dictionaries. We don't store data in dictionaries because we're interested in the order that the data is being stored. Unlike, say, if we were trying to store an alphabetic list, then we would be interested in the order. But here we're only interested in a list of keys and a list of values. So the fact that Clayton appears first in the list when we retrieve it, even though it was entered fifth in the list, really doesn't make any difference. Because all we're interested in doing is being able to enter Clayton's name and retrieve his grade. So we can do that for a couple of more names just to verify that our system works. And there it is. Also remember that if we're interested in what the keys are, we can use the keys function to return a list of keys. And likewise, we can use the values function to return a list of values. Having a function that returns the values as a list would be useful if we were trying to compute the average, because it would be really easy to compute the average from this list of values, because we could simply sum the list and then divide by the number of grades to get the average. And that would be a lot easier than working through the dictionary itself. So that concludes this exercise, and what I wanted to demonstrate was, first of all, another example of how to use a dictionary, but also to point out that a lot of times the data will suggest to you the type of data structure that you should use. And this type of data is certainly more structured towards a dictionary than a list. We had to go through a few contortions to get the data out easily in a list, but with the dictionary it's just a matter of typing in a key as an index to retrieve a grade, and that was very simple. So with that, we're finished with this chapter on data types and data structures, and we're ready to move to the next chapter where we're going to talk about input and output in Python.